Great Cove Life Science students. We are here again with evolution. Welcome back, and let's just do it again. My out of Africa hypothesis. Out of Africa hypothesis, I'm sure it's one of the key concepts again, which we understand and we know very well that it is very important. It is very important in our syllabus. It's quite a concrete, substantive concept in evolution. So this is it, which is a concept or a proposition that explains that the modern human beings started in Africa and migrated into the rest of the world. But life started in Africa. The modern man who is on the world or within within our globe or on the globe as a whole, they started in Africa but migrated to the rest of the world. So here we have got our African continent, which we can say one, and then people were to migrate or had migrated into Europe, into Asia, Australia, North America, and so forth. It is a journey that we are just going to talk about today in today's presentation. So please just be patient and just follow properly, and don't just quickly give up. So now what you need to understand is out of Africa, meaning to say movement out of Africa, is a hypothesis which actually states that modern humans originated, modern humans, we are saying started, they started in Africa and then migrated and then moved to the rest of the moved uh, to the rest of the world. They started in Africa, but migrated out of Africa to the rest of the world. So the migration out of Africa into the rest of the world, I have the world map here that is basically explaining that. So I'm just going to give you a quick and fast narrative of this whole journey and factors that also promoted and might have been of importance in terms of this migration, in terms of this spreading of people. I'm sure for scientists and life science learners who are in this class right now, we understand, we believe that evolution, it had quite an impact in terms of our syllabus. And again, it is very important for us to understand some discoveries and civilization developments which came from the oldest hominid, or to the oldest ancient ancestor of mankind, up to the Homo sapiens sapien, the man of today. The discoveries of fire, the sophistication of the discovery of sophisticated tools, the importance in terms of the development of language, and all those were factors that also contributed towards the spreading of people into the rest of the world. And basically, we can say civilization became quite a very instrumental point or factor into this. And more so, competition for resources would can also be assumed to be a factor that contributed to this. So now, what we need to understand is that approximately 150 to 200,000 years ago, ancestors of Homo sapiens, such as the Homo erectus, actually evolved into Homo sapiens in Eastern and Southern Africa. In Eastern and Southern Africa, some years ago, we have the development of the Homo sapiens species, which is the Homo erectus. So about 70,000 years ago, these modern humans spread into Europe, into Asia, across the world. So now, the movement of people across the world, it is assumed that about 70,000 years ago, about 70,000 years ago, we are saying that is when the movement of people started into Europe, into Asia, into Australia, as well as North America and so forth. So basically, what we need to understand is that there is a journey that the movement took. So out of Africa hypothesis is supported by some references. Remember, when we are in evolution, we are saying evidence that can support out of Africa hypothesis is one, the genetic evidence. One, the genetic evidence. I'm sure that we understand what is genetics, the genetic makeup, the gene makeup of organisms. We have got a clue, an important reference. We also have the remains, which are undecomposed remains, the fossils, which is the fossil record, also supporting out of Africa hypothesis. So let's quickly talk about the genetic evidence. Our understanding of DNA and its structure and properties is very important. The structure and functioning of DNA. Scientists managed to analyze human DNA and identify the relationship between humans across the world. So, humans across the world, based on the DNA understanding, mostly the mitochondrial DNA, it has facilitated an understanding in relationships between humans across the world. So, geneticists use the mitochondrial DNA to study human origins. To study human origins and migrations, since mDNA, mitochondrial DNA, is passed unchanged from mother to offsprings. However, during a person's life, mutation might occur, changes might occur to change the mitochondrial DNA. What we need to understand is that uh, scientists who specialize in DNA, through understanding of mitochondrial DNA, they are able to understand and give a tracing relationship, which is pointing out that the mitochondrial DNA, it is only passed from mothers to children, or from mothers to offsprings, and when that happens, it is usually and normally supposed to be passed unchanged, without putting into context the effects of what? The effects of mutation. Mutation might occur, of course, which might also change that mitochondrial DNA. So what we need to understand is that across the world, there is an understanding that the DNA of human beings, it looks alike. It looks alike. So therefore, what we are understanding is that mitochondrial DNA, it is used in tracing evolutionary relationship. Is very important in tracing evolutionary relationships. The relationships in evolution, in the changing or in the movement of organisms, it is able, or it is quite possible to understand that through mitochondrial DNA, which is passed by mothers to offsprings. So therefore, we are able to understand that. I guess we have also explained this in previous videos. What is mitochondrial DNA and why only mothers are able to pass it to offsprings? I explained and highlighted the concept of fertilization, which only the mitochondrial DNA in the egg cell of the mother, in the female gamete, is the one that is used in fusion. Whereas for men, the mitochondrial DNA is cut off, is not involved in the process of fertilization. So scientists can determine the rate at which mutation or markers take place. Scientists can determine that the rate at which mutations, we are saying changes, can also take place, and then use such changes as type of molecular clock, as type of molecular time, we are saying clock, to determine the age of a particular maternal mitochondrial DNA lineage. From the studies, we can therefore understand that from the evidence that we are talking about, it is therefore we are able therefore to understand that African populations of Homo sapiens, the African population of Homo sapiens have the greatest number of mitochondrial DNA markers and are thus the oldest. The African population, people, or the modern or the human beings on earth today, we are able to understand that the oldest mitochondrial DNA markers are found in African people, in African population. Hence, it can explain that that is where it started. The oldest means what? The earliest. Therefore, that is where life begins. So the most recent common ancestor whose genetic marker is found in living humans must have lived in Eastern Africa approximately 150,000 years ago, which we talked about. The 150,000 years ago to 200,000 years ago is a time period when the out of Africa, or the movement out of Africa, started. So we can therefore understand and conclude that modern, or the modern human being, or the humans on earth today, they started in Africa, because that is where we have got the most recent common ancestor whose DNA marker is found in all living humans. It is found that it might have lived in Eastern Africa about 150,000 years ago. So based on markers in non-African populations, uh, based on markers in non-African populations, scientists believe that modern humans moved out of Africa about 60 to 70,000 years ago, which is also pointing out to the movement of people to Europe. We talk about Europe, we talk about Asia, we talk about Australia. So what all these class, I'm saying these are actually identifying and pointing out the out of Africa hypothesis that we are talking about, even also North America and so forth. So now, due to an ice age, the sea level on the Red Sea would have been quite low, allowing Homo sapiens to cross into Middle East, into Eurasia, into Europe, Australia, about 20,000 years ago into America, which is North America. So basically what we are saying is that that journey that I've been showing you, the world map movement, it actually identifies that it is possible that previously the ice age, whereby the water was frozen, the sea levels on within the Red Sea might have been low enough to allow the movement of people across into various places, such as the Middle East, the Eurasia and Europe that we are referring to in this regard, even also the 20,000 years ago into North America. So let's quickly talk about the other evidence of out of Africa hypothesis, which is which we are saying there is also the issue of what the fossil record. We are saying that the fossil record uncovered in Africa thus far points ambiguously to the fact that modern humans originated and evolved in Eastern Africa. They evolved in Eastern and Southern Africa. This is to the Africa hypothesis, the out of Africa, the out of the OOA hypothesis, the OOA hypothesis class. So before examining this record in some detail, studying the major phases of hominid evolution, we take a look at the main lines of evidence that emerge from that fossil record. There are quite some sources of evidence that are pointing. Based on this fossil record, we can state that fossils from the earliest hominin species, the Ardibithecines, the Australopithecus, and also, have been found only in Africa, not anywhere else not anywhere else in the world. So the earliest hominids species, which is the Australopithecus and Ardibithecus and so forth, are found only in Africa, not everywhere else in the world. We also understand that fossils for the earliest of the genus Homo, the earliest genus Homo, the Homo habilis, have also been found in Africa. That is an evidence to say that the earliest species of the genus Homo was found in Africa. We also have fossil evidence for Homo erectus indicates these species lived in Eastern and Southern Africa between 1.9 to 1.4 million years ago. The earliest finds in Africa are the oldest fossils of Homo erectus discovered anywhere in the world. So the Homo erectus fossils, the oldest ones, are found in what? In Africa, not anywhere else in the world. And then we can also talk about the Homo sapiens emerged in Africa. The Homo sapiens emerged in Africa. the oldest Homo sapien fossils were discovered 2005 near Ethiopia's Omo River and are dated to be between 195,000 to 160,000 years ago, which are also oldest fossils of Homo sapiens, where Ethiopia is also part of Africa and still explaining the idea that Africa remains the origin. So transitional fossils that show intermediate stages between the Homo ingesta and the Homo sapiens are only found in what? In Africa. So we are saying evolution is the development of organisms from existing ones. So we have got transitional, which are also showing the changes in development between the various species of these, the hominids and these Homo species. So there is an intermediate species which is between the Homo erectus and the Homo sapiens. It is only found in Africa. So, classic, let's understand and accept that according to the findings that we have presented here, fossil records and also the mitochondrial DNA, it is or there are evidences or sources of evidence that can explain the OAA hypothesis. And don't forget that this is an hypothesis. If either further researches and discoveries might come, which can say that possibly there are oldest fossils that are found elsewhere else other than Africa. If we are going to say that the oldest one, I'm just assuming and giving a relative assumption to say that if we are going to say that the oldest are found, if oldest are found in Asia, what it means is that the out of Africa hypothesis will be rejected, and therefore we cannot be able to base our research on that. So what happens is that the out of Africa hypothesis is just giving a foundation towards further research in terms of discovery of or in discovering the modern humans in terms of their development, and also if ever evolution explains this. So what we need to understand is that out of Africa hypothesis remains the scientific explanation in terms of evolution based on genetic evidence and fossil records that we have identified there. So thank you very much again for your time, and let's keep connected, and I hope that we are going to do the best this 2025. We want to create and break the record that has been done before. Metric Hub is there for us. Let's keep connected, share the channel, like, and also comment. So therefore we remain integrating and connected. Thank you very much, and all the best towards every exam that might come and that we are to write end of the year.